Hi, Louisa. It's great to have you here. So, what is it that you do? Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Okay. Well, I've been working with WaterAid for the past 3 years, and I came in to really help WaterAid kind of articulate what it means by equity and inclusion, and to make sure that that is really mainstreamed into everything that it does. So, because WaterAid has always had a mission to work with the people, the poorest people in poor parts of the world who don't already have access to water and sanitation. So we've been trying to sort of break that down and think, what does it really mean in practice? What are the advocacy elements of that? What are the program levels of that? And what are the really sort of service delivery elements of it as well?
Okay, so that's great. Now, the debate that's swirling around, this figure of 2.6 billion and so on, the MDGs, they talk about big numbers without any real differentiation between what these numbers mean, what's beneath them. Do you find that a bit of a problem when you're trying to introduce the subject of inclusion, which is a level of analysis which goes beneath this or beyond this?
I haven't found it a problem, because I think, although people talk about the numbers, everybody actually is aware that they're not really managing to reach people who are marginalised and really excluded. So as soon as you start to talk to people about it, they become very passionate on the whole. They think that people are aware that the sort of the big numbers are fine in the sort of global debate, but when you're really thinking about reaching everybody, you need to have this more critical approach to actually overcoming the specific barriers that people face.
And this argument that most people have is, a rising tide will raise all boats.
Yeah.
That if you provide if there's a general provision of services, then these people will automatically benefit. Is that something that people keep telling you about? And is that something that appeals more to politicians and civil servants because it makes their job a little less complex?
Yeah, I think people have different, they have different perspectives. So obviously, people do need to talk about the mass and the electorate, and they need to think about, getting that kind of big groundswell of coverage, and that is the mandate of certain, stakeholders. Mm. But for an organisation, for us, for WaterAid as an NGO, we have the privilege, in a way, of being able to really focus on people who are left out of that approach, and so we need to interact with that. It's like you've got the kind of the reaching as many as possible coverage, and we're coming from the other side saying, what about the people who are left out? And I think there is a greater recognition now that kind of groundswell can only go so far unless you have this focus on reaching the most marginalised. And I have had this conversation about, but you're thinking about only concentrating on the 20%, around the margins, whereas we really need to reach, what about the 80% if you're of the others? And I would say to that, well, actually, if you want to get 100%, you have to really focus on the most difficult 20%. Other people do need to focus on the 80%. I'm not saying that's not important. But, if you don't really pay attention to that marginalised 20%, they'll never be reached.
So, Louisa, that's an interesting approach. So, the approach that many people, the classical approach is go for the low-hanging fruit.
Yes.
And when you answer a exam paper, add up your marks by tackling the easy questions. That's not how you think.
No, I don't think so. No, I think if you want the 100%, then you have to find out what the most difficult to reach are. And I think by doing that, you also refine your approach towards everybody else. And I think that's what has come out of this forum in particular, is the importance of actually really taking the time to understand the client, the client view, the kind of the nuances of what people really want, really need, and really desire. And that's what you have to do when you're trying to get people who are harder to reach, because otherwise you have no hope of reaching them. And I think that will then improve your approach to everybody. It will help to, that is the approach that is and has been found to be more successful generally, with the low-hanging fruit as well as with the.
Yeah, and you don't think, tackling at least not avoiding the difficult questions first.
Yeah.
You won't compromise, or you won't affect the enthusiasm of communities to say, gosh, they're off, talking about this, and we've been here, let's just forget them and go away somewhere else. Somebody else will take care of us.
Yeah.
This kind of thing doesn't happen?
It may happen, I don't know, but I think that, there are different agencies coming in with different sort of mandates, and on the whole, I found that people working with communities are actually really, people are really, they want to know how to do this. Communities, if they want total sanitation, they want to know how to reach the hardest people within those communities. And people who are working, at the field and community level, they want to know, that's my experience, but I'm not, I accept that there are some people who might say, oh, this is just too difficult. But on the whole, I found that people are really want to engage with these things because they're experiencing them. And to a certain extent, the issues that we're looking at when really trying to reach the most marginalised groups affect everybody, sort of thoughtfulness in the way you design facilities, the kind of quality of consultation and participation, the recognition that people are different and have really, come from different contexts, have different perspectives. That approach actually benefits all services.
And so we started off this conversation with talking about the 2.6 billion, which is just a big number.
Yeah.
Just coming back to WaterAid itself, WaterAid talks about services to 10 million people or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Are you going to press WaterAid to say, look, you have to be a little more clear about whom you're talking about?
Yeah.
So in your reporting, say that we live our principles, and therefore in our work we have done so much for vulnerable people and so much for the rest, rather than have one blanket figure.
Yeah, we are. Our strategic performance indicators are. We're disaggregating the data. We're asking the programs to tell us men, women, people who are disabled. We'd like to disaggregate it further, but it becomes very complex.
Yeah.
But we're asking for that kind of disaggregation, and they are being asked to report on the kind of how they're addressing excluded groups and how they're working with most marginalised people. And there is always this discussion about the big numbers versus the hard to reach. But I think that is also, it's a challenge for our advocacy and influencing role, and that's one of the reasons why I'm here at this forum, and we had the whole day yesterday focusing on that, because that 100 million is not us doing it directly, but it's also influencing others. So if we can influence 500 people who've come to this forum to think more about issues of design and how they really address those barriers, then that's our 100 million.
So after 3 days of effort,
3 days,
are you closer to your objective, or do you sense a spark of interest, or more than a spark of interest, in the approach that you are advocating?
Yeah, I do sense it myself, but it's very difficult to judge because people are very polite. But I think so. I think it's lots of people are talking about equity. There's a huge interest, in not just in WASH, but in health and everything. People have this word equity that is on their agenda, and they're not just always sure how to make that practical. So I think that people are picking up from each other. It's not like it's my approach. Actually, I've just come in, got on the train that's already moving. I think there is.
Okay, thank you, Louisa. I hope you've enjoyed this discussion.
I have. Thank you, Ravi.
Thank you. Yeah.